flinging his arm back, would topple him off the ledge.
Right? Tough choice.
That.
Tough choice, right?
He tested his plan.
Here we go.
The fingers of his left hand claw-like on the little stripping. He drew back his other fist until his body began teetering backward. But he had no leverage now. He could feel that there would be no force to his swing. And he moved his fist slowly forward till he rocked forward on his knees again and could sense that his swing would carry its greatest force. Glancing down, however, measuring the distance from his fist to the glass, he saw that it was less than 2 feet.
133.
It occurred to him that he could raise his arm over his head to bring it down against the glass. But experimenting in slow motion, he knew it would be an awkward blow without the force of a driving punch and not nearly enough to break the glass. Facing the window, he had to drive a blow from the shoulder, he knew now, at a distance of less than 2 feet. And he did not know whether it would break through the heavy glass. It might. He could picture it happening. He could feel it in the nerves of his arm. And it might not. He could feel that, too. Feel his fist striking this glass and being instantaneously flung back by the unbreaking pain. Feel the fingers of his other hand breaking loose, nails scraping along the casing as he fell. He waited.
Here we go.
Arm drawn back, fist balled, but in no hurry to strike. This pause, he knew, might be an extension of his life. And to live even a few seconds longer, he felt, even out here on this ledge in the night, was infinitely better than to die a moment earlier than he had to. His arm grew tired, and he brought it down and rested it. Then he knew that it was time to make the attempt.
It's time.
He could not kneel here hesitating indefinitely till he lost all courage to act, waiting till he slipped off the ledge. Again he drew back his arm, knowing this time that he would not bring it down till he struck. His elbow protruding over Lexington Avenue far below, the fingers of his other hand pressed down bloodlessly tight against the narrow stripping, he waited, feeling the sick tenseness and terrible excitement building. It grew and swelled toward the moment of action, his nerves tautening. He thought of Claire, just a wordless, yearning thought, and then drew his arm back just a bit more, fist so tight his fingers pained him, and knowing he was going to do it. Then, with full power, with every last scrap of strength he could bring to bear, he shot his arm forward toward the glass and he said, "Claire!" He heard the sound, felt the blow, felt himself falling forward, and his hand closed on the living room curtains, the shards and fragments of glass showering onto the floor. And then, kneeling there on the ledge, an arm thrust into the room up to the shoulder, he began picking away the protruding slivers and great wedges of glass from the window frame, tossing them in onto the rug. And as he grasped the edges of the empty window frame and climbed into his home, he was grinning in triumph.
134.
He did not lie down on the floor or run through the apartment as he had promised himself. Even in the first few moments, it seemed to him natural and normal that he should be where he was. He simply turned to his desk, pulled the crumpled yellow sheet from his pocket, and laid it down where it had been, smoothing it out. Then he absently laid a pencil across it to weight it down. He shook his head wonderingly and turned to walk toward the closet. There, he got out his topcoat and hat, and without waiting to put them on, opened the front door and stepped out to go find his wife. He turned to pull the door closed, and the warm air from the hall rushed through the narrow opening again. As he saw the yellow paper, the pencil flying, scooped off the desk, and unimpeded by the glassless window sail out into the night and out of his life, Tom Beneke burst into laughter, and then closed the door behind him.
All right, so the end of this story is a fascinating ending. So there you are on your ledge. You finally have worked up the courage to punch the glass. Interestingly, and almost, can we put it in our notes as anticlimactically, right? He punches a hole in the glass. He gets inside the apartment, and there he is. He's saved. Instead of rolling around on the ground or, yay, I'm saved or whatever, he's very matter of fact about it, goes over to the table, takes out the yellow sheet of paper, puts a weight on it, right? But then immediately is ready to no longer pay any attention to the yellow sheet of paper. And he's ready to leave the apartment and go find Claire's wife, put on his way out the door, because the window is, of course, broken and therefore open. As the door opens, the suction of the air picks up the yellow sheet of paper and sends it out of the window into the night sky. And all he can do is to laugh and shut the door. That's the end of it, level 1. Let's jump to level 2A quickly now. What is the major message of a story like this for you? What is it that you think Finney is saying philosophically? What is the central idea of what it means to understand the value of your life? And how it is the case that often we get ourselves in silly circumstances and then all of a sudden it hits us what really matters. You don't really understand what matters in your life until moments like this. And to that degree, moments like this are actually really, really important. Notice the thing that was important to him, this sheet of paper. By the end of the story, it's got no meaning at all. And the thing that was kind of quasi, maybe only important, being with his girl, now all of a sudden is the only thing he cares about at all. In our moments of greatest stress, you can write this down as a major message. In our moments of greatest stress and challenge, it's the people in our life who we love that really matter. Nothing else matters. All of the fame, all of the accomplishment, all of the money, none of it matters in a moment like the one that Tom has out on the ledge. To that degree, was the experience a blessing or a curse? It was horrifying, right? And yet, it taught him maybe something really, really important. Why do you think he laughs? Jot that one down. Why do you think he laughs at the end when the paper goes out? He went out there to get this so important piece of paper, and by the end of the story, he just laughs when it flies out the window. He doesn't care. All right, let's think about 2B really quickly. Now, of course, we already pointed out that our focus here has everything to do with this notion of the conflict, the tension that's available for us there, right? The resolution as well, of course, the point of his laughter as the paper rolls out. What for you are all of those? What's the central conflict here for you? Many students have said it really is character versus self, that internal conflict, especially once he's out there on the ledge and he's got to kind of figure out a way to survive. Some have argued it's almost like character versus nature. That whole notion of going out onto the ledge is kind of like being in some kind of really bad, situation that you somehow have to, it's either me or it's this ledge kind of thing, right? What do you think is the resolution, the point of the story at the very end? Is there something Tom learns? And if so, what do you think it is? Because notice, it's not explicitly stated in the story, right? It's implied. What is the resolution? All right, here we go, level 3. How do you relate to a text like this? Let's go to 3A first. What is for you the text about? You learn the most important stuff in the key moments of your life when you're there. It's either life or death. And it's in moments like that you actually figured out, what is that text for you? We already mentioned Dickens' Christmas Carol. The Scrooge story is, of course, a perfect example of this, right? What really matters to Scrooge? He finds out at the end of his life, and it isn't got anything to do with all the billions of dollars that he's got. Because at the moment of your death, you can't take a single penny with you. And the fame and the fortune doesn't mean anything to Scrooge. What is that text for you? The music that you listen to maybe that teaches you this powerful, powerful lesson that the most important thing in your life are the people in your life that you care for and who care for you. All right, finally 3A. So when was the last time you put yourself out on the ledge? When was the last time that you put yourself in a circumstance, you made a choice, at the time it was kind of mindless, and then all of a sudden, this was serious business. It might be literally, it might be metaphorically, that you had to overcome your fear. When was the last time you had to overcome your fear and survive? And you did it. And for that you learned maybe something really important, really significant. Finally, of course, the question is the resolution of the story. Who is the clear in your life? Who is the one that at the conclusion of a situation that you survived, you'd want to go and find and say thank you to? Might be the people who raised you. Might be the friends that you have. This is an interesting observation for sophomores. We start to recognize in our sophomore year the value of our close associates and friends. When I have conversations with my seniors, this is the one thing they always will say, that as they get ready to graduate from high school, it's those friendships that they built that matter the most to them. That's what makes graduation day, in some ways, kind of sad for them, because they recognize these are some people who I really care about. Many of them I may not ever really see again after I graduate from high school. Well, there you go, a fascinating text. And again, now you understand the title, Contents of the Dead Man's Pocket. What do you mean, dead man? Well, you could argue that maybe he was kind of dead when he went out into that ledge, and then he became alive. Alive to what? What really, really mattered. And in that process, maybe it was a gift to him. And maybe a gift to you as well. Thank you, Finney.